let us now go to Los Angeles, where Howie Klein is standing by. Are you there, Howie?
I am there. Did you say Congressman Jonathan Bick?
No, Professor Jonathan Bick.
Okay. I was thinking, is there a congressman that I've never heard of that was hiding all this stuff?
You don't know Congressman Jonathan Bick from Connecticut?
I do now.
I've always wanted to create a fake congressman and just have him walk through the Capitol in a suit and tie and the flag pin and videotape him.
A little congressional pin. It's not a flag pin.
Yeah, and just have him walk around. And how many were there? 435 Congress people. If we had a Congressman Jonathan Bick from Connecticut walking around with a pastor's haircut.
Well, you bet. I don't know about Connecticut because there aren't that many congressmen in Connecticut, so people tend to know them all. But if you take a state like California or Texas, where there are so many and no one knows them all, that might make more sense. Although, I'll tell you something. I have heard members of Congress, some who have told this to me, that that they've never spoken to many of their colleagues, that they don't know them, and wouldn't know Congressman Bick one way or the other. You could do it. Although, on the other hand, like me, I would assume they know the names of congressmen. So when I thought you just said Congressman Bick instead of Professor Bick, I thought to myself, I know the name of every congressman unless there's a brand new one that I didn't know about, which is impossible, and there is no Congressman Bick. So I don't know. I mean, and there'd be some like that who would know right away. Certainly, someone like Mark Savasco would know.
Right.
But I guess others wouldn't. Other staffers and other members of Congress might not know. You could get away with it.
Now, is it against?
Why don't you do Congressman Feldman?
Congressman Feldman and making deals. Like I would have an entourage. I'd get like people from office hours. We'd all meet in Washington, and I'd have some photographers, and they'd be my, have an entourage of people, and I'd try to make deals with some of the Republicans.
You could yell, "Hey, Ted, come on over here for a photo op."
That isn't against the law, is it? Making deals?
No, I meant Ted Cruz, by the way, not Ted Lieu.
Right, of course. Well, Howie Klein is the founder and treasurer of the Blue America PAC. They raise money for progressive candidates, and he writes down with tyranny, which everybody should read. It's a must read, and there's some great art that you have over there. I have some questions that I wanted to ask you about. Go ahead.
Say that about the art. That's great. Because you know what? I just got a text. Did you hear that text go off?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to read it. I'm so happy. Hi, Howie. The PET scan showed no concern of lymphoma and a recurrence at all.
That's great news.
My doctor, just a second, just reporting, because every year I have to go and get a PET scan. And I just got it last week, and she's just telling me just now that it's all clear.
That is.
Yes, I feel good. There was no reason to think that. It was very routine, but I feel good about it.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry for interrupting with that.
Hang on. That's great news. Let it wash over, and we continue. That's great news. The hearings start on Tuesday. They've already started.
Wait. It was one of the. You mentioned something about the great art.
Yes.
And I just want to acknowledge that and say thank you for saying that. I have some really good artists working for me or working with me. And one of them and I are about to publish a book with her art and my dabbling.
Right. I'm showing everybody the Chris Christie on the beach.
That isn't not one of. That's my other artist.
Oh, okay.
That's not going to be in the book.
Okay. Anyway, so let's talk about January 6th.
Yes, I love talking about January 6th. What a great day in American history.
Yes. The public hearings start on Tuesday.
Mañana.
Should Congress be conducting an investigation when they themselves are the crime scene? They are the victims. Shouldn't this?
Well, I see. They're the victims because some of them are the perpetrators as well.
Right.
And Pelosi barred some of the people who would either be perpetrators or witnesses from being on the committee. But now you're saying that they were the victims. That's an interesting perspective. I hadn't thought of that.
And it's going to be.
I mean, I don't know how else you could do this.
Can you trust Congress to look into this? They didn't do the. Would you agree that both impeachments showed that as an investigative arm of our government, Congress, at least when the Democrats are in charge, they're woefully inadequate? They're not willing to call witnesses. They weren't even willing to call witnesses during the second impeachment.
Right. They wanted to just rush that through. But this one, they don't want to rush through. In fact, they want to slow walk it into the 2022 midterms. Because? I don't know. I think this is going to get such gigantic media scrutiny, and they want it to get gigantic media scrutiny, that they will, that they're going to do their best. What can I say? Look, Pelosi already named not the best possible person to run the thing. But there are some good people on the committee. Adam Schiff will do a good job. Jamie Raskin will do a good job. And, I really believe that I'm not a big fan of hers, but I really believe that Liz Cheney will do a good job. And I have some faith also in the other Republican that Pelosi just put on there, Adam Kinzinger. I think that these people are patriotic. They're all patriotic. And I think that they will do a good job. Now, she put some real stiffs on there as well who are worthless. I mean, really, really bad. There's a coke addict named Pete Aguilar, who she put on the committee for political reasons.
Is he from New Mexico or California?
No, he's from
California,
Southern California. He's a corrupt piece of crap that, again, for political reasons, she stuck him on the committee. He's just terrible. If he comes on, just shut the TV off for 5 minutes.
Well, if he's a coke addict, is this not the underage? He didn't have the problem with the underaged person, right?
Oh, that was Matt Gaetz. Is that what you're talking about?
No, there was some other Democrat. But go ahead.
No. You're talking. I know who you're talking about. That's a friend. It's actually a very good friend of his who had the problem with the underage girl.
Right.
Aguilar is. He's a very, very conservative, very, very corrupt Democrat from Southern California, and Pelosi put him on the committee, and she always does that. She'll always put a certain number of people on the committee for no reason at all except politics, and that was what this was about. And he just defiles the committee with his presence. He has nothing to offer at all. He was like a slimy oil industry lobbyist or something before he slipped into Congress. Just as bad as it comes.
And but so the slow walking, you kind of laughed because we know why they're slow walking it. They need something to grab the headlines when the bipartisan infrastructure bill falls through, and then the $4.5 trillion infrastructure bill falls through. They're going to need something to run against the Republicans on, and it will be the insurrection. Do you see anything that the Democrats can run on in 2022 other than we're not as bad as the Republicans?
In our lifetimes, have you ever seen them run on something other than we're the lesser evil? That's what they run on. That's what the Democratic Party is. They're the lesser evil party.
Well, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, LBJ. Right?
Yeah, I know. I don't want to admit I'm that old. So I'm going to play dumb. So, I mean, what numbers have they put on the board so far? The child tax credit, I guess, which is big, but it runs out. Some people say in a year, some people say in 6 months, and some people say it's not getting to the people who need it. So other than the child tax credit, what have they done?
Well, No, I mean, I think the plan was to run on, curing COVID or something, and that isn't working out. So they really they haven't accomplished anything. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, they will have to run on the insurrection, I guess, unless they somehow manage to accomplish something, which I don't see. I mean, they can, if they want to, pass some great stuff through reconciliation. They should, but I don't think they've got it in them.
You say, you write over down with Tierney that Biden is asleep when it comes to voting rights, that getting rid of the filibuster should be his chief priority. And he gave an interview with Don Lemon. He says nothing will get done in Washington if we get rid of the filibuster. Nothing.
He's just very old, and he's living in a time that you don't want to admit you were born in.
Right.
What are you going to say? I mean, did we know this before he was elected? Yes, we knew. I mean, I was just happened to go upstairs this morning to put my socks on, and I was sitting there, and MSNBC was on, and I was looking at the scene of him signing some executive order, and everyone on the stage seemed like they were 100 years old. I mean, it was really like scary. I mean, anyone on that stage could have just sort of, except for one woman who in a wheelchair who actually looked vibrant and alive. Everybody else on the stage looked like they could like keel over and die within a second.
Right. And maybe we'd be, I don't want to say better off, but
yeah, don't say it.
I'm not going to say that, but they are old. Yeah. Pelosi's 80, right?
And she seems like a spring chicken compared to some of these other people. My God, I mean, they were just like sort of like crawling along the stage, and it was just painful to watch. And I keep thinking, like, I mean, in other lines of work, there is a kind of a cutoff point when you retire. But I mean, they're talking to Chuck Grassley, who's already like into his I mean, he's so old already and losing it, and they're talking about getting him to run for another 6-year term, which will I mean, they put up with Strom Thurmond, who was people didn't want to sit near him because his diapers would be filled with say. I'm not joking. I mean, I know it sounds funny and you have comedians on all the time, but I'm telling you the truth. And, the poor guy would get lost, coming back from emptying them out. And he just felt like, he was entitled to die in office. And long after he could make any sense or even, talk coherently.
Right. What do you anticipate these public hearings on the insurrection? What do you anticipate is going to come out? I am spooked. I want Medicare for all. I want Bernie's infrastructure plan. I want voting rights.
If you want Medicare for all, then you're going to have to put up in a big way. And you're going to have to get everyone who listens to your show to really not just cheer to get more progressives in Congress and replacing conservatives, whether they are Republican conservatives or Democratic conservatives. But the only way to get Medicare for all is to support the campaigns of people who are running on that issue. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And right now, it is not going to happen. I was talking to a guy today who's going to run against Julia Brownley, a kind of middle of the road, crappy Democrat in Ventura County, California. And I said, well, what made you decide to run against an incumbent who's going to probably beat you? And he said, she's not for Medicare for all. People in this district voted for Bernie and they want Medicare for all. And we are going to fight her on that issue. She refuses to co-sign the bill. And some of the co-signers of the bill, by the way, they're not really for Medicare for all anyway. They're just putting their names on it to help them not get primaried. But this one won't even put her name on the bill, Julia Brownley. So, we really have to support these people. which means, getting active in their campaigns in some way, following closely who is and who isn't for real, donating if you can afford it. And it's not easy. It's really not easy. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's going to be hard.
Well, why is Shontel Brown?
You want for all, right?
I'm sorry?
You want Medicare for all, don't you?
Yes. Why is Shontel Brown?
I don't want to embarrass you, and I don't mean to, but you need to donate to candidates who are fighting for that. Candidates who just mouth it, but the ones who are basing their campaigns on it. That's why they're running. I mean, you do a service by having them on your show. I'm really not trying to embarrass you, and that's more than most people do. That's a lot.
I didn't go to the march on Saturday. I felt bad. The Medicare for All march. I feel like
everybody has to do what they can do, and going out into a crowd during this what's going to be some horrendous wave of a pandemic where lots and lots of more people are going to get sick and people are going to die. I don't blame anybody for not going out into crowd. On the other hand, like I just said, you have these people on your show, you expose them to new supporters, and that's a really big thing, and that's important.
Nina Turner,
a good example, perfect example. Nina Turner, Medicare for all the way, Green New Deal all the way, fighting for working Americans all the way. And all of the enemies of those things are lined up. They are pouring their sewer money into the campaign of some, random opponent of hers.
Shontel Brown, right?
Whatever her name is, it doesn't matter. It could be John Smith. It doesn't matter who the person is. It's just not Nina Turner. They don't care who's running. They just care it not be Nina Turner. And everything that they did in 2018. The same exact people, the same exact groups, everything that they did to Marie Newman, they're now doing, and in her campaign in Chicago, they're now doing to Nina Turner in Cleveland. And they won. They closed a close election, but they won in 2018 against Marie Newman, just last minute, like pouring money into the district. But then 2 years later, Marie Newman was more aware of what was going on and had to fight it, and she came back and beat Dan Lipinski, a blue dog. And hopefully Nina Turner will do the same now.
Right. And India Walton in Buffalo, is she going to be the mayor or is the incumbent? We have a female socialist who won the Democratic primary in Buffalo.
Against an incumbent mayor, Democrat.
Right. And he's going to run as a write-in candidate. But that says a lot when a city like Buffalo elects a African-American woman who's a socialist.
Well, Buffalo is different from Greater Buffalo. Greater Buffalo is a little bit more conservative, but the city itself is not really conservative. They have a lot of young people. They have a lot of minorities. It's a pretty cool city, and and there wasn't a giant turnout. Certainly, his supporters were not. What are they voting for? Status quo? Go out and vote for the status quo?
Right?
Why? Not making anybody happy. The status quo is crap. So they didn't come out and vote. Her people were voting for reform. They came out in greater numbers. It was a low turnout election, but progressive turned out more than conservatives. So she won the primary. So you're asking, will she win the general? Hard to say. Again, it's going to be all about turnout. She's got momentum on her side now. He will have big money on his side.
Alan Grayson, I think he had a guest column over Down with Tyranny. I think that's where I read him talking about the filibuster. Val Demings.
It wasn't a guest. It was he was one of the people who we talked about the filibuster with at Down with Tyranny. There were two others as well, all of them running for the U.S. Senate. One in Wisconsin, Chris Larson, and the other in North Carolina, Erica Smith. Alan had some incredibly wonderful quotes. So because of that, people tend to remember.
And Val Demings, the Democratic congresswoman, looks like she's going to be anointed by Schumer, right? That Schumer wants.
Well, anoint her. She's nothing. She's literally nothing. You know, I shouldn't say she's nothing. She's a black woman, period, end of story. That's it. And that's, for some people, that's enough. Hey, you know, we need more black women in Congress, whether they're a great one like Nina Turner or a nothing like Val Demings. Val Demings has been in Congress for some time now, has accomplished exactly zero. I mean zero, nothing, absolutely nothing. Whether she was there or not there would have made no difference at all to anybody, so let alone her constituents. She is just nothing. And now nothing, they want nothing to be in the Senate because they want nothing. They want lots of nothing. And they figure, hey, better nothing than someone like Alan Grayson who's going to make trouble.
And Rubio is going to beat her. Rubio is
going to wipe the floor with her if she's the nominee, which is probably likely.
And this is what Schumer wants.
Schumer would rather have nothing in there than Rubio, but he'd rather have Rubio in there than Grayson. He doesn't want the kind of headache that Grayson is going to bring him. Grayson is going to make trouble every single day in every single way for the establishment. That's what Grayson does. And Schumer hates him. And Schumer is petrified of Alan. Alan, you know, Schumer's very smart. Alan is smarter. Schumer only has 1 degree from Harvard. Alan has 4 degrees from Harvard.
Right. So what happens in October? What happens to me when, you know, they don't get it done? When the infrastructure bill doesn't get passed? Neither infrastructure bill gets passed. We see some executive orders and they start running against the Republicans, but they don't get rid of the filibuster. What am I supposed to think? Am I supposed to just completely stop voting for Democrats and just completely give up on them? What do you do?
Yeah, did it long ago. I mean, you can vote for progressives, but voting for Democrats? I mean, come on. Why vote for Democrats? Yes, we vote for progressives who we believe in and who are going to do things. People like Nina Turner. We do not vote for people like Val Demings. There is no, you know, look, between Val Demings and Marco Rubio, obviously Marco Rubio is the greater evil. She's the lesser evil. Evil is evil. Am I allowed to say the F word on here? Or
Go ahead.
Not?
Go ahead.
Evil is fucking evil.
Right.
I don't care if it's lesser evil or the greater evil. Evil is evil. No way should anybody vote for Val Demings. No, there is no reason to vote for Val Demings. None. You know, the other day, I'm embarrassed to start talking about this yet. It's going to make me more enemies on your show. But a woman called me up. I don't know who gave her my phone number. I didn't ask her because I was already screaming at her before I could have asked her. And she wants Blue America to support her. And she gave a reason. She will be the first Filipina in the California state legislature. And I said, what do you mean? What about Bonta, the new Attorney General of California? He's a Filipino. She said, I didn't say Filipino. I said Filipina. I will be the first woman of Filipino heritage. And I said, and that's the reason why we're supposed to vote for you? I said, I'm not interested in identity politics. I want to know about your policies. I want to know what you're going to do for the people of your district. Tell me about that. Don't tell me that you're a woman Filipina. That's not why I vote for somebody. And she started fighting with me and kept insisting that how important that is. She finally agreed that she would tell me about her a long time it took, but she finally agreed she would tell me about her policies and never did. Instead, she said that she voted for Hillary. She voted for Biden no, she didn't vote for Biden. She voted for Kamala Harris in 20, wow. And she voted for Hillary in 2016. I said, you voted for Hillary in 2016. You're telling me you're a progressive. You're insisting you're a progressive. How is voting for Hillary instead of Bernie? How is that progressive? Please explain that to me. Well, it's because I'm a woman. And I said, I can't talk to you anymore. I started yelling at her, finally on her.
Right. And you're the bad guy.
Oh, I'm definitely the bad guy for something like that.
You know, the Titanic is sinking and there are no lifeboats, and you look up and you go, wow, it's a it's a female captain going down with the ship. Isn't that great? The captain is a female. It's fantastic. I feel so much better.
Not only a female, but a Filipina. So, and I wanted to say something, by the way. Like, when I think about like how I was cured of cancer, I think there were a few people on my team, but the two most important ones are the one who, first of all, the one who just texted me in the beginning of our conversation today, who is a woman from China. She's my chief doctor. I don't want to say how much money I contributed to her research, but it was a lot. Because I not just because she saved my life, but because the work that she's doing. I mean, the doctor who was supposed to be my doctor, he was in another hospital. He's the president of the lymphoma. He was the president of the Lymphoma Foundation of America. The treatment that he planned for me, I wouldn't be on the phone with you right now because I would have died a couple of years ago.
Right. And
that was the standard treatment that they were giving to people who had this particular kind of lymphoma. Nobody lived. You live for a year, then you have to get it again. You could live for another year if you were lucky, and that was it. It was over. And she came up with another way to do it, which is now becoming somewhat standard. And I was one of, I don't want to say I was a guinea pig, but I was one of the early people that she used this on. In any case, the other person is a Filipino woman who was my chief nurse, who was the one who was doing everything for me all the time, who I rejoice so much to see, so much that she wanted to, and I know she feels the same way about me, by the way, and you might think, oh, they all, act that way. No, she had her husband come in to meet me when I was getting treatment one day. I mean, I feel like I've grown up with her family and know her children. I mean, anyone who's thinking that I have some kind of animus towards women or towards Filipino women is completely wrong. I'm just saying that isn't the reason to vote for somebody.
Right.
Blue America is doing everything we can for Nina Turner. Blue America is doing everything we can for Erica Smith. Guess what? Both of them are African-American women. The fact that I'm saying that Val Demings is nothing, it has nothing to do with her race or her gender. It has to do with her record in Congress.
Right. And our vice president, who's a disgrace. An absolute.
And how about our president-to-be? Because in 2022, we're going to have to pick between her and Ron DeSantis or Mike Pence or Donald Trump Jr. or God knows what.
Yeah, Donald Trump Jr. is winning like he outperformed his father in a straw poll.
No. It's if Trump. No, it was, first of all, it wasn't a straw poll. It was if we're talking about the same poll that came out today, it was a popularity poll, just a favorable, unfavorable.
Wow.
And this was if the father isn't in it. He came in first by 1 point in a poll that has a three and change point margin of error. So really, he and DeSantis were tied at the top, and nobody else came close to the two of them.
And
they're both so awful. I mean, how do you distinguish between Ron DeSantis, who's responsible for probably more deaths than any governor in America, and just a nothing burger like Donald Trump Jr. I mean, Donald Trump Jr. makes Val Demings seem like Einstein.
But his father, Don Sr., must be so proud of his son, right? Maybe
the son is a fucking moron.
You don't think Donald Trump Sr. is going, wow, maybe I should step aside and let.
No, I think Donald Sr. is lying and saying, I can't believe these rubes are even worse than I thought they were.
Unbelievable. Well, we love you, and that's great news. And who should we be giving money to this week? Nina Turner, right?
Yes, but Nina Turner immediately. And the reason I'm saying immediately is because it's coming down to the last week, and it is the last week, and they need that money for the Get Out the Vote effort, and that every cent will be spent immediately. Don't send the check. You have to go on Act Blue and give it through Act Blue.
Okay.
And she needs it, and because the money is just pouring into the district now from the worst corporate sources. That
Frackers, right? The Intercept writes that a
frackers, absolutely,
Sure.
and the Zionist lobby, the anti-Palestine lobby is pouring huge amounts of money in. They're doing everything they can to defeat Nina Turner, and she needs that money to have her team on the ground, bringing people to the polls. That's the most important thing right now. That's how she's going to win, and that's how she's going to beat all this onslaught of horrible TV ads that are being just lie after lie after lie, and people are going to say, "Wow, I've seen that so many times." And subconsciously, some of them are going to think it might be true.
Yeah. All right. Next week is the election in Ohio, right? The congressional, right?
Ohio 11. That's right.
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Yeah. And in Texas, on this Tuesday, we find out if Wright's widow, the idiot Republican congressman who died from COVID, if his widow.
Yeah, I like to think of him as the idiot Republican who died from not wearing a mask.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So is the wife going to run, or someone, a little bit further to the right than her?
Right.
They're both so horrible that you can't say which one is more horrible. Except you can say Trump is supporting her, so she must be more horrible.
In Texas, a moderate is somebody who wears the mask over their mouth but breathes through their nose. That's a Republican moderate. I love you, Howie. I'm glad. Great news. There's good news out there. There's good news.
There is.
I'm going to call you tomorrow just to fill you in on some nonsense that will make you happy. Howie Klein is the founder and treasurer of the Blue America PAC. They give their money. They donate money to only good candidates. And if you're not following it too closely, go to Down with Tyranny, and Howie will tell you how to spend your money. $5, $10. It makes a big difference. Nina Turner needs it right now. Go to Down with Tyranny. Read Down with Tyranny. Blue America PAC. Thank you, Howie.
Thanks, David. See you next week.
Okay, see you next week. Thank you.